4 guitars fell out. 2 of them were yours. What is happening, roadies? How are you doing? Thank you for swinging by. Thank you for picking up your headphones, popping me in your ears, or watching me here on YouTube as I read yet another story from this fantastic book, Hell on Wheels, a Tour Stories compilation. That's right, folks. It is Storytime Friday here at Roadie Free Radio. Listen, I just had a look. Man, we've only got like 4 or 5 of these things left, and that means only about 4 or 5 weeks till we wrap this series up, and it has been a blast to read this to you. I feel it's pertinent at this time to tell you why I do this if you're just tuning in. Several years ago, I made a short film called Roadie about it was like an homage to Top Gun, told through the world of roadies for a rock band. And this book was, one of those research books that I did as I was writing the script and whatnot. A book that I went through and checked out all these stories just to add a little flavor to my script and all that. So I dug this thing out and thought, hey, it'd be kind of cool if I read this, and gave a shout out to the author, Greg Jacobs, who worked so hard on this. Turns out old Greg's got himself another edition of this book coming out either the end of this summer, 2022, or in the fall through the University of Hell Press. And I'm very excited to check out that new edition. It's got a whole bunch of new stories, plus some revamped ones from here. And Greg is going to come on the show in just a few weeks to talk to us about it and talk to us about his journey and whatnot. So stay tuned for all of that. You can find out about those things by subscribing to the podcast, signing up on our email newsletter list over at roadiefreeradio.com. I'd love to have you. I stay in touch with you guys every week, let you know what's happening, what new episodes are out. And subscribing to this channel will get you whatever you need to find out about Roadie Free Radio as well, with all the new videos coming out each week. So do those things. I appreciate you, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know if you've ever been on some of these crazy tours or have crazy tour stories you'd like to share. I would love, love, love to hear from you. You can also hit me up on email at info@roadiefreeradio.com. So big shout out to Greg Jacobs for letting me do this. You can buy this version of the book by hitting the Amazon link in the description, or you can wait to get the new version of the book. Also, a big shout out to the sponsors of this series, One of One Productions, the premier podcast solutions company out there. You've got to go check them out, oneofoneproductions.com. You've also got to check out the Roadie Free Radio podcast bundle that we put together in collaboration with each other. It's got the Roswell Pro Audio Mini K87 microphone that I use on this show. I love this mic, a Focusrite 2i2 interface, hard shell case, AKG headphones, XLR cables, and of course, some Roadie Free Radio stickers to help jazz up your stuff, to give you a little zhuzh while you're out there on the road. All right, let's get to, you're going to want to use a code when you buy that thing. Use the code ROADIEFREERADIO when you check out over at oneofoneproductions.com so they know who sent you. All right, Superchunk. Let's see what you got. This is an interview from a gentleman named Mac. Here we go. This happened on our first tour in the summer of 1990 with Geek and Seaweed. There were about 15 of us driving around on all these different vehicles. It was mostly an East Coast tour and a little of the Midwest. We were driving from Pittsburgh to Flint, Michigan. Pittsburgh had been a pretty empty show, and we were looking forward to Flint being pretty much the same. Anyway, it's a really long drive, and we've got a couple of vans, a car, and a truck with one of those camper tops on the back, so that's what all the equipment was in. So all the vehicles get there except the truck, and they're really late. So we're waiting outside of this theater we're going to be playing. It's an abandoned theater. I think it's called the Capitol Theater. It was in that movie Roger and Me, actually. It's a totally abandoned theater. The promoter just had the key to the front door, and he's like, okay, you guys just set up in the lobby. That's where they had the PA. In the big room, I guess they had shows with Styx and bands like that, but we were playing in the lobby. We were supposed to sleep there too, and the theater was supposed to be haunted or something. So we're all waiting outside for the stuff to get there. The truck pulls up, and Derek, the guy who was driving the truck, walks up, and he looks really bummed out. And he says, well, somewhere along the way, the back door of the truck came open and 4 guitars fell out. Then he looked at me. 2 of them were yours. Those were my only 2 guitars. We didn't know what to do. We were calling the police station in Pittsburgh, calling all over the place. Finally, we called some station there, and it turns out that someone had turned them in. The guitars had fallen out as they were pulling out of a music store that morning. And someone turned in all 4 guitars. A friend of ours, Brian, drove them up the next day and met us in Toledo. So we got them back. But for a couple of hours there, everyone was bummed out. The show at the theater, though, turned out to be the most fun show of the tour. It cost like $2 to get in, but no one was paying it. Flint is a totally depressed town. Everything's boarded up. No one's walking around. So a bunch of people came to the show and stood outside until we made it free to get in. All everyone does in Flint is drink, which is what we ended up doing as well, and it turned into a big water fight. But it was a fun show, and we slept in the haunted theater. Man, how many bands, how many guitars do you think have been lost out on the road? I'll bet you a lot, a hell of a lot. Stay tuned next week. We got a band called Supersuckers, and we're going to be reading their story next Friday, man. So you're going to want to check it in. Only a few weeks left of this series. Big shout out to Greg Jacobs. Thank you, my man, for letting me do this. Big shout out to One of One Productions. And of course, as usual, a big shout out to all of you out there who are listening, who are watching, who are staying in touch and engaged. I love you. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe out there, and I'll see you down the road.